what I'm keen to do now is to enter into a discussion with the partners on the call. These are the questions that we're hoping to get input on. What I suggest we do is maybe start with inviting people, particularly on the UK side, to share things that they're doing or that they know is already going on that could be relevant and could be feeding into this. And then we'll maybe move into starting to crystallize out where there seem to be the best prospects for exploring good domains. And do feel free to throw in people that you think we should be talking to. And then what we want to end up with is an understanding of how the different partners around the table today could get involved in this, could support it, and how we can work together to build a really strong case for a program going forward. So I'm going to be moderating the discussion, which is quite a challenge, I have to admit, with the numbers of people we've got and the complexity of the issue. But we've got various people who are going to take notes and assist me with that. So if that's okay, actually, before I do that, does anyone have any questions that they want to raise, maybe about the presentation or what we covered? I'll take that as a no. Okay, so I'll close down the presentation. I think that's worked, and then we can open it up for people to maybe if you could use the chat function to flag up that you want to make a contribution, and then I'll invite you to comment. Let's see, shall we start with inviting maybe Innovate UK, Niraj and Nicola. It'd be interesting to hear your thoughts on where the UK has got particular strengths that could be relevant for what we want to help with India with.
On the technology side, I might defer to Nicola if she's happy to bring us up to speed on the work that she's doing.
Sure.
Particularly for Catalyst.
Hi there, yes. I don't have the exact stats and figures on what technologies Energy Catalyst supported in India. However, that is something I could dig out from a spreadsheet somewhere at another time. I do know that India was the second ranked country for the recent round of Energy Catalyst. So 10% of our applications came in looking at projects working in India. So that's something we can explore as well, maybe in a separate conversation.
Yeah, that would make sense. Okay, so looking at where there was existing interest for potential projects in the Catalyst program.
Yeah. So we've got obviously the projects that Energy Catalyst already done in previous rounds of the competitions, because we're on to round 8 at the minute. And then obviously we've got the round 8 applicants who are currently going through assessment with 10% of them being interested in India.
Okay, yeah, no, that sounds really helpful.
And in terms of
technologies, like that.
Yeah.
In terms of other work, relevant work that Innovate UK is doing, we've got at least two, probably more, industrial strategy challenge fund programs. One on prospering the energy revolution, and the other on transforming foundation industries. That will be a lot of work to be drawn on. What I'm not that well sighted on is how much interest there is within those teams to work in India. But with this initiative underway, I think that interest can potentially be generated.
Well, we can certainly explore that. Like I say, I think it'd be helpful to build on existing relationships, but if there's capacity or if there's expertise that we think from this could be relevant, then certainly worth including in the mix. Piers wants to come in. Piers, I don't think you've had a chance to introduce yourself, but maybe you want to say a few words?
Yeah, thanks, Nick. Good to speak. Hi, everyone. Piers Purdy. I'm the South Asia Research and Innovation Lead in BEIS. So work very closely, obviously, with SIN and UKRI and Innovate UK on our bilateral relationship with India. A bit of a layman question from me, Nick, actually. Just interested, really helpful presentation. Just interested in on what types of proposals we might expect coming out, if you can kind of maybe describe what they actually look like, and if you could kind of position that on the TRL scale a little bit as well. Just keen to. It's really good to have obviously Innovate UKRI on the call as well. I know you're lined up with SIN, but just quite keen to learn and understand a bit more about how this this might fit with kind of BEIS interests a bit as well, and whether there's any other parts of BEIS we might want to bring in and kind of give some kind of perhaps policy guidance to, if you've got any gaps there.
Thanks. Yes. So I'll start on the TRL point. I'm from the steer that we've had from the client, Sunil and Katie and others. It seems to me that we're not looking at necessarily finding solutions which are already in the market, but we're looking at areas where some development work could be valuable to work up solutions that would really meet Indian companies' needs. And so the kind of proposal would be, I guess, for a funded program, maybe along the lines of a Newton program innovation call, which has a particular focus and would have a number of Indian and UK commercial partners, as well as potential academic partners bringing in more fundamental expertise. So it's kind of fairly advanced, and it's not fundamental research, but very much in the innovation space more than in the fundamental research space. Does that help? This is me reflecting back what people have told me. So if I'm misrepresenting the desire, and this is an interesting combination of DIT, SIN, and FCDO working together, so that you're clearly bringing those different emphases to bear.
Yeah, thanks, Nick. That's really helpful and conscious. Yeah, it's got quite a few different stakeholders on here. So that's helpful to know, and helpful to know that it's something that you'd be that would, and this might be more of a question for Katie and Sunil then, but this is something that would be feeding into next year, and that we'd be looking for funding opportunities for next year, is it?
I would agree, and obviously Katie may want to comment.
Sunil's typing, I think. Oh, he's
okay.
Nick, Nupur has dropped a message. Can you read and share?
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to kind of complete, but I think we're happy to move on, and then absolutely bring in other parts of BEIS, Pierce. And I invited Matthew Bilson from the energy team, and I think he was going to pass that message on. But there will be others. I think what we're keen to do is to identify if there are existing programs, initiatives that we can harness and build on. So Nupur, yeah.
Thanks, Nick. Sorry, I'm really struggling with bandwidth at my end today, even without my video switched on. So I hope I don't get cut off while I'm speaking. So just to share a couple of information points, as I have to leave in another 15 minutes. We have 2 studies underway in the South Asia Research Hub that could potentially be useful to this assignment and the mapping that you're doing. One is on climate compatible growth in India. This study sort of is going to provide actionable policy recommendations on how India can feasibly reduce its emissions across 3 sectors in energy, industry, and transport towards long-term 1.5 degree compatible growth. As you know, there is some work on the allocation of the global carbon budget across countries, but there is very little analysis on how the carbon budget for India should be divided sectorally. So by developing sectoral roadmaps and milestones, this study will set out how India can set sort of greater ambition, if you like, on enhanced climate actions and long-term low-carbon growth pathways in parts of COP26. This project will also include a policy engagement plan that involves discussions with key stakeholders in the government of India for potential sort of testing of these roadmaps and milestones. The other study that I wanted to mention is on nature-based solutions. This will basically review best practice around the application of nature-based solutions in sectors of interest to FCDO India, such as natural resource management, waste management, green energy technologies, and agri-value chains. The study will also focus on the distribution of benefits and costs in this context, focusing specifically on livelihood impacts and climate co-benefit. The draft outputs of both of these studies will be available by March 2021. And in terms of our tech movement, just to share that we are in the midst of developing a new program with the Government of India's Department of Biotechnology. This program will set up a bilateral partnership with countries in Africa to enable knowledge and innovation transfer, leveraging India's biotech innovation ecosystem. And as part of the program, there will be a focus on clean energy technology to drive development outcomes in the developing countries. I'll stop here, but just to say that we'd be very happy to share the information about these studies with your team, Nick and Vimal. So do please let us know, and I'll put you in touch with Anirban Ganguly in our team, who's the climate lead in our team. But before I end, I have a quick question around policy engagement and whether you have any plans to engage with Government of India counterparts to really understand where there could be potential entry points for future UK-India research collaboration in this area. The sound wasn't very clear, but I seem to have heard you saying that you're looking at what India needs and what could the UK potentially offer. So it would be great if we could sort of get a sense of what are the evidence gaps that the Government of India has flagged, that UK
Thank you. That's really helpful, and that, you came across clearly. Was that it? You finished? Sorry.
Yes, I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you, Nubia. So yeah, so the research you're doing sounds very relevant. Obviously, it would have been even better if you come to us and said it's nearly finished. But we'll certainly be interested to see what you can share about the studies you're doing, particularly the sectors you're focusing on. And any early insights that you're getting as our work progresses. Maybe we can have a kind of open dialogue about that. It's a very good point about Government of India engagement. It's not part of our brief at the moment as this contract is construed. So maybe that's something to come back to at the end, because I think that there definitely needs to be some engagement with relevant Government of India stakeholders. If nothing else, because if we want to go forward as a match-funded program, there'll need to be some buy-in from DBT or others, and potentially GITA. Does anyone want to comment on Government of India engagement to date or plans for that? Okay, we'll come back to that then. Right, so Monica's written, we're working at UKR India closely with Indian stakeholders such as DST for collaboration around renewables. So, okay, so we can feed that in as well then. I was going to invite Catherine to tell us a bit about what they're doing in Go Science that might be relevant. That could be of interest to everyone.
Yes, thanks, Nick. In Go Science, we are, I guess we haven't had as much direct involvement up to date, just as we're slowly building our team for net zero and within the sort of climate and energy space. However, obviously we're very happy to obviously work with cross-Whitehall colleagues on this, and I guess find where Go Science's input would be best. So as of yet, we haven't really fully established our team on this really, but obviously happy to hear, I guess, from other colleagues, you know, where Go Science might help. Okay,
thank you for that. And can you say a little bit about the kinds of things Go Science could do that might be useful? And just to get, I'm not sure everyone is familiar with the role of Go Science and the kind of thing that you get up to.
Yes, of course. So Government Office for Science. So we sit within BAYS as our home department, and so we're sort of led by Sir Patrick Vallance, and obviously sort of net zero and energy is obviously a big ticket item for Go Science, and so we're very keen to establish and especially a big focus on decarbonisation, and especially looking at sort of energy infrastructure. So we're sort of within the climate and energy space really looking at obviously net zero for the UK, but also obviously looking at net zero priorities across COP26 and obviously the G7 sort of science track.
Okay, so thanks for that, Catherine. So I can see you being potentially useful sources of, again, good practice around the world that, as you say, might be relevant to the UK, but also could help. Because I think UK has got a great mix of different areas of expertise. It's a real melting pot, and you know, we can potentially put together some new propositions if we can sort of see what is working in other places. Okay, Sunil has responded about the Government of India engagement question. I think they're saying that the primary priority for this project, at least, is to work with the Indian private sector and sort of further sort of secondary research into what the priorities are for the government. Ultimately, we need the private sector to be buying into this as a customer ultimately, and that's potentially more important. I think the only thing that I would say, if you're not necessarily looking for Government of India funding to match what we're doing, so it's about UK commercial interests ultimately, then understanding if there are new regulations that are going to be coming into force that will be putting Indian companies under pressure to change practices or to change their resource usage or whatever, then that would be really valuable insights to identify where we might be able to step in and offer assistance. Okay, so someone's bringing me a cup of tea, which is always welcome. Who else would like to speak who's not had a voice so far? And the KTN, Sian and Sandeep, are you still there? I think Sian had to duck in and out if the connection was not great. Can you say a bit about your sense of kind of how you could engage or where there might be opportunities from the UK side?
Hi, yeah, I'll start, and Sian, if there's anything that I missed, you know, feel free to interject or add anything. But the Knowledge Transfer Network, for those of you that aren't familiar with us, we're a non-for-profit organisation, and we work very closely with industry, with government in the UK, and help businesses develop or innovators develop their ideas, develop their services, their products, and hope to commercialise them and help them partner with the right collaborators to develop their ideas into commercial products and services. And we have an institute where we look to help innovators really look globally and partner with the right leaders in those areas, in their sectors or other sectors in other countries, and kind of think globally around markets and opportunities overseas. So this sounds like a really interesting area that you've brought up. And I guess the KTN, where we would add value, so we have sector experts that work across, you know, various areas, and we have sector experts with also working on circularity and net zero, which is of course a big priority now for UK government. So those sector experts have in-depth knowledge of innovators, academics who are working in this area, so could help reach out to the communities and find out, you know, where there might be existing utilities in India or where they're looking at opportunities in India to collaborate. Also, programs for government departments, particularly Innovate UK. One of those was the Demonstrate Impact program, where we were looking to partner innovators in the UK with innovators and businesses in India to co-develop innovations, technologies tailored to address problems in particular countries. That was a £9.3 million fund that I think it's coming to an end, but that's it sounds similar to what the work that you've outlined in this call. So we have experience of working in this area. Sian, I don't know if there's anything you wanted to add about that.